Namaste and hi friends, this is Parvati with Visionary Veda bringing you your November 2021 Vedic Astrology Report. Today is October 31st, Halloween, All Hallows Eve, Samhain, spelled like Samhain in the Celtic tradition. The time when the veils are the thinnest. I hope you guys are having a safe and happy and fun Halloween out there tonight. So I wanted to bring you this report to prepare you for the month ahead. The month of November, it's going to be an action-packed month with a lot of planets changing sign, Jupiter changing sign, and a lunar eclipse. Luckily, this is a partial lunar eclipse, but nevertheless, it is with Rahu, and it is going to impact us all. So how does it impact us? What are the energies? What are the planets that are changing signs? Let's get into it and let's get started. All right. So yesterday, October 30th, Venus changed signs. It moved out of the sign of Scorpio, which has been quite intense for relationships, and is now in the sidereal sign of Sagittarius. Now, a lot of you out there are going to breathe a sigh of relief, but just because it's moved into Sagittarius, there are lots of implications, which I'll go over in the video later on. But don't breathe that sigh of relief just yet, because Venus is going to be hemmed in between two malefics on either side of her. So what does that mean? I'll tell you in a bit. I'm going to go over the rest of the planetary placements, and then we'll go over what the energies are going to feel like or how it's going to impact. So then, as of today, we still have Mercury in his sign of exaltation in Virgo. Mercury's in the last few degrees of Virgo. And then tomorrow, November the 1st, is going to move into Libra, where he will join a debilitated Sun as well as Mars. Now, Mars is still combusted by the Sun. Mercury is going to join the party, but the Sun is going to move out of Libra on the 15th. So that is going to take Mars out of combustion. Mercury stays in the sign of Libra for almost 3 weeks, and also will move out of Libra into Scorpio around the 20th of November. But before all of this happens, on the 20th of November, which is a very important date, how could I forget? Because that is also the day that Jupiter changes signs and finally leaves Capricorn and moves on to Aquarius, and finally separates from that conjunction with Saturn, that once in every 20-year conjunction. And that also happens on the 20th of November. So we have a few weeks here in November to really put into play, really get our ducks in a row regarding how we want to move forward karmically and dharmically with our work in the world. So it's a very powerful time, these first 3 weeks of November. But not only do we have all these planets changing signs and moving forward, we also have some major celebrations and a partial lunar eclipse happening on the 19th. Now, the first week of November, we have a lot of celebrations happening because we have the dark moon or the new moon on the 4th of November, which is also the great celebration of Diwali in India. Now, one of the reasons that Diwali happens on this day is because the sun is in its deep debilitation. The sun being the light of the universe, of our solar system, signifying our soul, as well as, illuminating our solar system and being the source of light for our solar system, is in debilitation mode. So in India, we actually celebrate and we ignite our own divas or deepas or devos or deepavalis, right? And we have a festival of light to venerate the light when it is at, or the sun when it is at its weakest. So the name in India is sometimes known as Deepavali, or the night or the festival of light, because the light from our sun is in its most debilitated place, as is also the moon. The moon isn't debilitated in Libra, but being that it's new moon, it also lacks in light. So we bring our own light into place, since we are co-creators of this cosmic universe, right? So Diwali, a huge festival where the goddess Lakshmi is also venerated. It all starts on November the 2nd, when we start the celebrations of Deepavali or Diwali with a very beautiful day called Dhanteras. It's the 13th phase of the moon. Teras literally means 13, and Dhan means wealth. Dhanteras. Now, this is the day that here in the West they are now calling Ayurveda Day, because it's also a time to give thanks and venerate the gods of health and wealth. So that includes the Lord of Ayurveda, or the patron saint of Ayurveda, or the Lord of Ayurveda, Lord Dhanvantari. Lord Dhanvantari is one of the beings that came out of the churning of the ocean between the gods and the asuras, when they were churning the ocean of milk, the Milky Way, to get to the Amrit, the nectar of immortality. Dhanvantari came out with all the medicinal remedies to our ailments. So that is one of the beings that we venerate on Dhanteras. And we also venerate the goddess Lakshmi, as well as the goddess Saraswati. We venerate the goddess Lakshmi for wealth, but her big day is Diwali. And then also Saraswati on Dhanteras. Why is that? Because she is the goddess of knowledge. So a lot of times on Dhanteras, the business people will put their accounting books with Lakshmi to give thanks and to wish for a prosperous new year ahead with business. The artists, the students, the musicians, they also put their school books or their music books or their art supplies. And they also pray to Saraswati, the goddess of art and music and wisdom and knowledge as well, to have a fruitful year ahead. And then the healers and the doctors as well, they venerate Lord Dhanvantari on this day, November 2nd, known as Dhanteras. Okay, so that's the 13th phase of the moon. And as you know, the moon has 15 waxing phases and 15 waning phases. So they're known as Tithis in Vedic astrology. So that's November 2nd. So November 1st, Mercury moves into Libra. November 2nd, we have Dhanteras. And then November 4th or 5th, depending on where in the world you are, we celebrate the great celebration, the one of the biggest, if not the biggest festival of the Vedic Hindu year, Deepavali or Diwali, where we give thanks again to the goddess Lakshmi for providing us with health and wealth and prosperity, and may she continue to bless us. The night before Diwali, usually everybody makes a big cleaning of their home, because it's said, it's kind of interesting how these traditions go. It's said that on Diwali, all of those People who have cleaned their homes, because Goddess Lakshmi is not going to come into a dirty home. It must be completely spick and span and ready to receive the goddess. You know, it's there. The homes are decorated, the lights are lit. There, a lot of people draw what's known as rangoli on the floors, like multicolored kind of sand mandalas to welcome the goddess, and just a purification of everything from the previous year to welcome on this new moon, this very powerful new moon, to welcome the seeds of prosperity for the following year. So, as you guys probably already know, the new moon's not the best time for taking action on anything, but it is a really great time to plant the seeds and ready the ground to make everything fertile so things grow in that moon cycle, in the waxing moon cycle. So this is going to be a very special one. 2nd of November, really give thanks for your health, wealth, and also for learning more and growing more in your life. On Diwali, the night before Diwali, so that is the 3rd, to cleanse, do a purification ritual of your house, decorate your house, light candles, light ghee divos or deepas, right? And then on the 4th is the wonderful, wonderful festival of Diwali, and here you can venerate the Goddess Lakshmi by also giving gifts and donations to others. And in the Indian culture, even if it's your birthday, you're not the one getting the gifts. You invite all of your guests, your friends, and your family. You give them gifts to say thank you for being in my life and thank you for supporting me. And so in Diwali, people give each other gifts and sweets and light candles and generally come together and in gratitude and in honor of everything we've been given in this life. Okay, so that's a little bit about Diwali and the new moon. We have this Mars sitting in Libra, still combust. So the sun is going to move out of Libra on the 15th of November. This is going to give Mars a bit of a break from this combustion that he has been going through ever since, I don't even remember now, for such a long time he's been with the sun. I think it was July or August when they were all sitting together in the sign of Leo. Now that the sun is moving out of its sign of debilitation, it's going to start to get strength. But whatever conflict you have been going through or frustrations you have been feeling with this Mars combustion, be careful, because now Mars is unleashed in the sign of Libra, which can cause some things which had gone unspoken to come out in quite the aggressive way, and you might have to confront things that have to do with other people as well as yourself that maybe you would rather sweep under the rug. Libra wants to keep the peace. Mars might want to confront others, but in order to clear things between you. Okay, so just if you feel this need to confront people that you've been having difficulty with, it's okay to do so. Actually, it might clear the air. Just try and remember that the energy with which you're coming at the other person, or the other person's coming at you, can be a little bit stronger than usual, because finally Mars is coming out of its combustion phase and it's coming out purified. Now, when any planet comes out purified, but especially Mars is going to want to fight the good fight, and it's going to want to stand up for its principles, and it's going to want to really explain why he's going to come with righteousness, right? He's going to want to defend what is right and true and his principles. So just know that those kinds of situations might come into fruition. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a conflict. It can be a clearing of the air and an understanding of why this person maybe reacted to you, or why you maybe reacted to a certain situation, and hopefully bring some clarity and some resolve to whatever situation has gone unresolved. So that's Mars. Again, Sun will move into Scorpio, where it will meet Ketu in December for a solar eclipse. But before Sun meets Ketu, it's going to be in Scorpio. Moon is going to meet Rahu, and we are going to have a partial lunar eclipse of the moon, and it's going to be with the Graha Rahu, or the north node of the moon, in the sidereal sign of Taurus. So this is happening in Kritika Nakshatra, right? And Kritika Nakshatra is planetarily lorded by the sun, which is also going to be sitting with Ketu. So, and the sun is going to be in Vishakha Nakshatra, lorded by Jupiter. Okay, so and Jupiter is also not at its strongest because it's moving on as well. It's in this place called Sandhi, which is the last degrees or the first degrees of either side of a sign. Okay, so Jupiter's on its last degrees of Capricorn. And the day after the eclipse, it's going to move over to Aquarius. So Jupiter's not that strong. Sun isn't that strong because Sun is also just coming into Scorpio when the eclipse happens. And Moon, obviously, even though it's a full moon, and it should be strong in Taurus because it's exalted in Taurus, is going to be partially obscured by Rahu. So what does all this mean? So because we have the signs with Scorpio and Taurus involved in this eclipse, it can show some sort of, shall we say, subversive type or not clear incidents or situations having to do with money, having to do with food, and because it's Rahu, also having to do with things of an etheric or airy nature, such as the internet or even cryptocurrencies, right? Because these are things that are kind of not actual tangible items, and Rahu is something that isn't tangible. Rahu is something that's smoky and etheric, and it's also very forward moving. So there could be something going on in that market. We've already heard about some of the things happening on the internet with new internet platforms, also with Mark Zuckerberg's announcement with this whole sort of AI thing he wants to roll out, things of this nature that are going to be marketed to us because Taurus is the sign of comforts and sensual things, and actual fixed, tangible things, right? So it's going to be marketed to us in a way that we are going to want it or desire it, but because also it's opposed by the Sun in Scorpio sitting with Ketu, it can also show that it's not really as it seems. It's not really how it's being marketed or conveyed to us. So just be aware with this moon. Now, how can it affect you personally? Well, since the moon is exalted in Taurus, it might be a very tricky eclipse in that you're going to want to think the highest or the best of a person or a situation, or something sounds really good, or just don't sign contracts or don't make commitments, because again, things are not necessarily as they seem. Because the moon is exalted in Taurus, we're going to want to think the best of the situation, or we're going to feel like, yeah, this product or this contract or this person or this situation is going to help me feel better. If you're going through any sort of medical procedures, I advise that you get a second or even a third opinion before you just go forward. Now, this isn't to scare you, right? This is just to double check, because at times of eclipses, things do get confusing. Things can be hidden. Agendas can be hidden. People's minds do get clouded, even though the moon is exalted. So just be aware. Just take your time. You're going to want to feel good, and so a lot of times we can rush through things because we think it's going to help us feel good or feel better, and they may not necessarily be what they are in the long run. So that's my little warning for you guys for the eclipse. Usually, in general, it is not advised to make decisions around eclipse time for just this reason. So please just be aware of that. And then last but not least, on November 20th, we have Mercury moving out of Libra, which will be with Mars, and we will have Jupiter moving on to Aquarius. But I will make another video talking about Jupiter in Aquarius and the eclipse and the solar eclipse on the 19th, so stay tuned for that. And before I end this report, I also wanted to just touch base a little bit about the planets, not Saturn, the planet Venus. So Venus, as you guys know, has moved out of Scorpio and is now in Sagittarius and is hemmed in by Ketu and Saturn. Now, what does that mean? That means that Venus has two malefics on either side of her. So you're going to feel, on one hand, you're thinking, oh, good, now my relationships are clear and things are going to move more smoothly. And yes, that is a possibility, but maybe not so much because of this hemming in. Venus is going to feel unsupported, or it's going to feel like it's facing a lot of obstacles to get through in order to get to feeling good in relationships. Now, one of the things that could happen is that because it's in Sagittarius, our focus will go off of our relationships and onto maybe learning something, maybe growing, maybe taking some self-help classes, maybe learning about some spiritual things, to help us get better in our relationships and to work on ourselves in relationships and to learn higher knowledge and higher values and higher spiritual teachings, right? So that's one way it can come across because it's not feeling supported. But also in the sign that Venus rules, the day before, or not the day before, it's in Sagittarius, sorry, the day before Jupiter moves, we have this eclipse happening in Taurus, and we have Mars and Mercury in Libra. Now, Mars and Mercury are going to be in Libra together, and they're not the best of friends, okay? Mars and Mercury are enemies. Luckily, they both get along with Venus, the sign they're in, Libra, but those two being alone together, it's going to cause a bit of a clash as well with other people. So just be aware of this. We have Mars in Libra already with the Sun, and now we have Mercury coming, and Mercury and Mars are going to meet in the sign of Libra, and that day it's going to be known as a planetary war. And I do believe that's happening. Oh my gosh, this is from the top of my head, all right? So I do believe that is happening around the 10th of November. So the 9th, the 10th of November, be aware of how you're coming across with others. Be aware for some aggressiveness, be aware from some challenges, be aware of some arguments because of that planetary war. And then Mercury will pass Mars and then follow the Sun into Scorpio on the 20th, the same day that Jupiter moves into Aquarius. So I hope that's been helpful. That's been a rather lengthy report. We have a pretty action-packed November ahead of us. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. If you'd like a reading with me, I will be happy to take your readings and schedule you for a reading if you send me an email at visionaryveda@gmail.com. However, from the from the 15th of November until the first week of December, I will be traveling, so I might not be able to get to your readings until after December, until after the first week of December. Just giving you guys a heads up about that. But other than that, I wish you guys a very happy Halloween. Get out there if you haven't already. Have a great time. Be safe. Enjoy this thinning of the veils. Connect to your ancestors. Celebrate. Remember those loved ones which have passed. Get ready for Diwali, a fall cleanse. I wanted to mention as well, if you want to do a house cleaning as well as a gentle fall cleanse, a 3 or 4 day khichdi cleanse, that also would be a great time to do that before Diwali. So thank you again, my friends. Wishing you a wonderful November, and stay tuned for my next videos going over this Jupiter transit as well as this lunar eclipse coming up. All right, thanks so much. Take care. Happy Halloween. Enjoy the life. Bye-bye.